We are back yet again for another episode. I quite like this one. Then again, don't know which one I don't like. We're talking about how to squeeze more money out of your store, out of your revenue, out of your sales. How are we doing, Ray?
Good, man. I actually just hopped off a call with the brand, funny enough, that we talked about in the previous episode. And we're talking about how to scale up creative volume, which kind of ties into what we're going to talk about today as a way to just how to get more money at your store. So really funny that that call happened really spontaneously, actually. So
yeah, nice. Batman, I need help.
The bat phone.
The bat phone. You got to call that bat phone. And it's nice to be on the other side of that bat phone.
So here's a real question. What kind of Batman fan are you? Of the 1960s Batman? Are you the
I like when Batman went dark.
Yeah.
Like when they really started to push it out. Oh my God, I'm blanking on his name. The same guy that wrote the comics for son of a bitch, I forget his name. When the comics started to make him question some real things like Batman doesn't kill. Frank Miller.
Yeah,
thank you.
That series is amazing. Dark Knight Returns series. He got dark. Yeah.
Frank Miller is the boss because he really started to question core things about canon. Mm-hmm. Not the camera brand, but the canonical stuff that seems to be untouchable. Like Batman doesn't kill bad guys; he only harms them. But if it's a bad guy holding a gun to a woman's head that's like right there, mm-hmm. What does he do? And, all those funky situations. So good.
I'm not a fan of like the Adam West 60s TV show, but I agree with you. Like when things started getting darker, I mean, I was around 1960s, but I watched them when I became of age. But I like the darker stuff.
Yeah.
Why I was bringing that up? Because in the 60s, they had the bat phone to the mayor. It was like a red phone that he called. And that's why I brought it up. Sorry for the rabbit trail.
But yeah, like, I mean, thank God for Adam West with the bat phone. Then we can actually use that as a reference because Superman didn't have no phone. He didn't need a phone. Superman phone would have been weird. You'd just have to yell and Superman can hear you.
Superman. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, take us down the other rabbit hole. In this economic climate, with almost everyone and their mom now starting up a D2C store and have been for a while, what is this edge? How do we squeeze more out of what we've got? And what kind of tactics do we have for us?
Yeah. So why I nominated this topic for today is because we've been having conversations with brands quite regularly and quite recently too, because inflation has been, depending on what news outlet you listen to, 20% the last 2 years, frankly. And so the conversations we've been having is brands are saying, everything hasn't changed. Nothing's changed in my business, but I'm making way less money than I ever made before. Yes, some things are harder, but this is it's going down and it's like a slow death. And so the conversation has been, what can we do to change that trajectory with what we have in front of us? Because we have either limited cash, limited resources, limited products, whatever the issue is.
Of course.
So what I want to do is I want to bounce around to the different strategies that we are seeing that helps. Either one on the product side or on the in-house team side, and how you come up with creative, for example, because that can be a big cost center as well. So what I want to do is I want to start with one of my favorite strategies, and that is actually through a recent case study we did as well. So it's actually through a case study of a brand where they came to us, had similar symptoms, and instead what we did is we helped find opportunities by focus and by clearing out other stuff. That's the first one. Okay, so let me walk you through what we did. So this particular brand that came to us in a short period of time, we were able to 3x their revenue, but then really double their profit. Now, let me just skip through what it was like working with us before they worked with us. And what was running their campaigns. They had a lot of campaigns running for different reasons, different products. But the problem was some of those products they were losing money on. But because they didn't have like a direct line of sight of, I spent this much money advertising this one product, this product has made me this much amount of money. They were just looking at the aggregate of I've spent this much money in total and I've made this
Sure.
much money in
Store-wide.
total according to Shopify. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about this in a previous podcast, but like, and that happens a lot where different products have different margins. Like this energy drink has a different margin than this Thrashio thing that they're out of business, by the way. But I love this drink. Like radically different margins. And if you don't understand that, you could just be spending money and losing money, frankly. So what we did instead was, I'm just going to skip through what we did, is we kind of went through all the products they're advertising, did our analysis of what products are actually making us money and not making us money with advertising. Let's get rid of everything else besides the one thing. So the strategy here is we quit promoting all their other products and just focus on their main hero product. That's it. Not groundbreaking, but that strategy worked. Okay. Then
So
what
before we get into that, I think that this may be a good place to pause, because it might be causing some of her whoever's watching this some anxiety.
Oh, totally.
So, Ray, you're saying, so I spent time talking to manufacturers, looking for suppliers, testing out different prototypes or test batches to invest in a product line. And you, agency person on your high horse, is now trotting in here and asking me to let go of things that are making me money, according to what I'm looking at on the dashboard, and take
As
a
a
leap
macro,
of faith.
correct.
Right. And take a leap of faith with you to hone in only on the hero. Talk me through how to even get your mind into that frame.
Yes. So the first frame is, how confident are you that those other product lines are actually helping your business?
And by helping your business, do you mean contributing to the bottom line?
Correct.
Right.
They're getting sales, but how confident are you that you're actually making money on those sales? So I think later we're actually going to do something close to how you can break that down. But frankly, if you're 100% confident and you can show I spend this much on this product and I get this much of those product sales, excluding all the discounts. For example, like we had a brand very recently, a couple months ago, they thought they're quite confident, but they're also running a front end discount. Turns out they're actually losing 2% advertising those products, but there's a lot of volume, right?
Right. Losing 2% on first time purchase?
Yes, on those other secondary product line that they were promoting.
Right. Okay. Understand. Got you.
Yeah.
Right. So perform the analysis.
How confident are you? Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Then the second thing to think about.
Is that the main question?
Yeah. So the first one, how confident are you? But then number two is, do you think it's possible that by focusing on the one product that is your hero product, do you think that's easier to 10x that than it is to 10x your other product lines? Like, I don't know people's manufacturing and inventory positions. Most of the time, a hero product, most brands have figured out the logistics. They understand the restock times. They have a good relationship with their manufacturers. It's easy to scale that up. Whereas other product lines, they haven't maybe figured that out, depending how close or not close it is to the hero product, is what I mean.
Sure.
If you're selling like a different flavor energy drink, yeah, probably not a big deal. But if you're selling a hoodie and then you're selling shoes, massive difference, right? It's not going to be the same apples for apples.
Of course. Okay. Got you.
Yeah.
So okay. Yeah. No, I'm just trying to think through what internal resistance or what objections a founder would have to
I can tell you right now what some of them are. So the first one is, frankly, I hate to say it this way, but it's the emotional attachment that we have that this other product or product lines are like my next big break. I mean, I think we all kind of fall into that trap sometimes where you have that emotional attachment. Also, loss aversion. I spent money on this inventory of these other products. I got to get rid of them, which when we hear that, we can still get rid of them, but we can get rid of them through email and SMS. Once we get profitable again, we can do some acquisition offers on those products. But right now, we're just trying to get you to, you're making money again. And so one way to do that is to eliminate the noise and double down on the thing that actually makes you money. So another objection that we work with brands on is going to be, well, maybe that other product has a higher average order value. Could be. But are your customers, do they actually want it as much as your hero product, frankly?
Right. For sure.
So not an easy thing to overcome, but we've seen this a lot. For example, I can tell you through my experience, there's a lot of instances throughout us working with brands where that one product typically is the unlock for more growth, frankly. For example, like there's several fashion brands that I'm thinking of right now where one main product was the thing that got them to 8 figures. And then with other launches, they were able to get those other products to sell, but it was still that main one product that got them there. Doesn't mean once you get there, you can't sell other products. But if your customer is saying, I love this product, I will just keep buying it over and over and over and over again, you're kind of crazy not to see how far you can take that one product. You don't want to stick with it forever because otherwise you can put yourself out of business that way. But you've got to take a leap of faith somewhere. So if you don't trust your hero product, are you willing to put all your faith in this other product that hasn't sold as well as your hero product?
Yeah. And I think it's worthwhile us having spent the time here because that willingness, that openness, that understanding of the logic behind the logic and the strategy behind making this decision, making this business choice is the unlock that will allow for any of the other plan of attack to even happen in the first place.
That's correct.
Right. And to your point, it's not a fantastical notion by any stretch of the imagination. It's just consolidate your resources to focus in on what is the highest probability thing that consumers would resonate with and you can sell, and that also most contributes to your bottom line. But I do understand how the internal resistance is there. Maybe to for any of you guys that want a parallel version of this, go watch most Kitchen Nightmares episodes with Gordon Ramsay, or go watch most of the the ones where there are like distressed hospitality businesses and an expert comes in and kind of helps them, and that's the premise of the show. The first thing that gets looked at is how big the menu is. If it's like a 12-page menu, the most common thing that gets rendered as this is the thing that can save and fix your business is to just consolidate the menu. Be like, keep it simple. Now you have less suppliers to worry about. You have less food in the fridge, the walk-in freezer, to have to like manage. And now your consumers understand what you can just put something really simple in front of them. And now you can focus everything on that. Right.
That's actually a great analogy.
Yeah. And I understand why the need for more, because more makes you feel comfortable. I have options, right? It feels safer, but you can kind of safe yourself into, how does the saying go? Make the sale, lose the business. Yeah.
Because again, this brand is not an 8-figure brand. They were barely a 7-figure brand. At some scale, more products is critical, especially if you've been doing the same product for such a long period of time. But for this brand to get profitable, especially when we broke down their numbers per product, it became very clear we're making so much profit on this one product, the hero product. Why are we spending money on this other product that's not making anything?
Yeah,
so
let's go.
That was really the logic. Why?
Nice.
So,
all right, so we've got ourselves into that headspace. We got ourselves in the headspace. Hero product, we got it. Where to from there?
Great. Okay, so the other stuff isn't so much as making more profit. It's just our process of how we end up getting that success story. So we made better ads that were more informed based off customer feedback and actual comments in the ads, so that now they were more potent and more specific. Then what we did from here is incorporate just our sprint planning process to where we were pumping out creatives per our sprint planning process. So the creatives we pumped out, they were more specific to the pains that people were mentioning in the ad. So the two main things you should take away is the consolidation of the strategy of the one product, but then also making the ads hit more home with the exact problems while also making them creative diverse. So you can see here, all these creatives are different. Some are images, some are videos, some are different models, some are mentioning different pains. That's important. So all these ads were hitting the exact pains people wanted. And the last part here is just hyper consolidation. For the most part, we really only had 3 campaigns running. This was just a test. So just consolidating that down to where one product, fewer campaigns, more budget behind those campaigns really is what created outsized returns to where they had their first six-figure profit month. We hit the profit target that they wanted to hit, over and extended the ad spend for that month. And so 3 simple strategies that got really big impacts over a short period of time.
Yeah. And a non-shopping event season as well. So it's not like it's like an end of year, Black Friday
there was no
and
sale.
all that stuff too. Right. No so sale. you went through a few things there that I think are worth double clicking into in terms of like being able to pull more out. So, because at the end of the day, it's about squeezing more out of your store. So first one, of course, is look at your product lines and really determine which is the hero, that forerunner horse. We establish that part. And then move on to this other piece. If you go back up to the side-by-side creatives, please. When you say different, because you glossed over a few things there, which I think for our team and for everyone, it's so natural and it's so intuitive what that means. If we had to break that down, when you say different, are you talking about based off of reading comments, based off of reading reviews, based off of maybe post-purchase surveys, understanding what pain points are, what the pains, frustrations, or desired gains are, and then breaking that so when you say different, it's addressing different parts of that?
And also we're using exact language their customers would be saying or thinking in their head. Mm-hmm. And that's where mining what people say from comments, reviews, post-purchase surveys, because the philosophy we buy into is the more we can talk just like our customers, the more the ads are going to resonate, because it's like, oh, this is me, or I'm thinking this.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So for example, no trace of lace is specifically pulled from comments of people, what they're looking for a product like this. Right.
Yeah.
And then other copy that we have, like in the video, for example, and this one too, like lace melt. And I didn't know this because when you have wigs, you have the overlap right here is you don't want it to show whatsoever, right? So perfect lace melt. I would not ever have guessed that in a million years, but that's a specific commentary from customers and how they talk. And so like, okay, we got to use that in ads.
Yeah. It's so funny how there's this, I've met a lot of people where the notion in their mind is that to be a great copywriter, to be a great creative strategist, to be a great ads person means I know how to come up with this stuff myself.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like there's a bit of like a self-value thing there, whereas what we have as almost like a go-to, it's not even a playbook. It's almost like a natural next step. It's almost, much in the same way you put your pants on one leg and then the next leg. It's just a natural next step. You don't need a playbook for that. Our natural first step is just to go, let's just understand the language of, like, go read the comments. What are the people saying? It'll just kind of show itself to us. We don't have to come up with almost nothing. We just embellish from that point on and add to, as opposed to try to cook it up in your own head. You know what I mean?
And that's the worst part. Because unless you were living the life of these customers, you probably would never come up with that. I never would.
Right. Of course, because you can't physically be someone else and have come from a different culture, be in a different culture. And by culture, I don't mean like ethnicity culture. It could be a subculture, for example. Like, if I had to move into certain categories, like, for example, I had to sell like products that were more leaning towards the namaste culture, if you want to call it a namaste culture. I don't live that life, right? But at least you have I think any decent creative strategist or a marketer would know the steps to take to be able to immerse themselves in there as closely as possible. Really open up the hearing, I guess, to your point that you say all the time, just be curious and start being able to pull all those things out. So, okay, creative is one part. Stealing from, I think we really went down that, hammered that point home. Being able to let the customers tell you how they speak and how to speak and how they want to be spoken to and with. What about so that's the creative side. And then you talked about the media buying side, or slightly from a structure standpoint. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So
So
really just here is the principles is just we just consolidate down because we wanted to be more efficient and have less wasted spend. So once we focus on one product, we're very clear on the ads we had to make. We want to just consolidate it down, push the most amount of budget behind the fewest amount of campaigns as possible, focusing on that one product. Like really that was it. That's simply the strategy. That just creates more efficiency, more data. As you can see, like some of these campaigns are getting 2,000, 1,000, 1,000 purchases for that one campaign. So now that they're rich and the meta just really knows who's the ideal perfect customer to put that ad in front of.
Yeah. Which then makes life easier moving forward. Those benefits can compound for the next go.
Yes.
Right. So then we can build strength on strength. And it's so cool to then be able to as a business owner, as a brand owner, to go, okay, I've got money in the bank now, 6-figure profit month. Now, if it's a 6-figure profit month for a quarter, then start refocusing and move into that next phase. So it doesn't have to stay in this phase forever. That's not the point that we're making here, but to make those changes so that it can have those oxygen canisters, to use a Jim Collins good to great kind of term.
I like what you did there.
Right. And then once you have those oxygen canisters, you can now go explore more but take the same principle and then apply it in other contexts.
Yeah. Like it's much easier to crack and scale one product and really keep up with the creative needs than it is to now divide your attention 5 different ways or 10 different ways.
Yeah. 10x, 10 times the headache, right? Like it's so
the opposite way there.
Or to maybe frame it another way, take the limited resources that you have divided by 10 or divided by 5, because you've got to spread them out that thin, right? So it's almost like if you got a pizza, would you want to eat the whole pizza or you want to slice it up into 10? And then that's all the time, resources, thinking, creative, et cetera, that you get.
Which is actually a good segue because for those of you guys who don't pizza? Watch, well, actually I'm really hungry now, but is that D used to come from video production, and so you're the person, D, that we always go to when it comes to thinking about creative production, the system, the process, how to do it efficiently. And so the next part I want to bring up is attacking how a brand can make more money by attacking probably one of the biggest systems in their company, and that's just creative. Whether you pay someone to do it or you're doing it, so you can either save yourself time or you're actually paying outside parties to do it. And so what I want to walk you through is we've had a lot of brands recently who they like creative concepts or they have creative concept ideas, but they don't know how to source those concepts, like how to create them, like how to take what you have in your head and come up with something, right? And make it come to life. And so this is where I want to get your feedback, D, is so like I came up with just like a brain tree or like a decision tree to help brands come up with it based off what we have observed. But knowing you, it'll be a lot more rich because you actually have tactical input on how to do it. So here's what I want to go through is a brand says, I have an idea. And there's a point to how it can save you time and save you money. I have an idea. So how I think about it is, okay, you have an idea of an ad or an organic post or like a video you're going to make. Do you have the assets, the raw assets? think it makes sense. If you do have the assets, cool. Then can you reuse them? Can you splice them? Can you cut them up to then use them to make something? But if you don't have the assets, I have to ask
Am I
yourself,
broke? Oh, that's so good. Sorry. Yeah, but fair. Yeah.
how broke are? I mean, I think you talk about your rags to riches story of you were broke one time running a video production company, right? Like you probably dealt with broke people too.
Totally.
By the way, when you were doing that, what were some of the cockeyed ideas of broke companies would ask you to do with no money?
All kinds of stuff. We'll give you a lifetime supply of X, or
Really? Wow.
or just and I get it. They're trying to, when you don't have, you kind of regress back, right? Like before humans invented money, they had the barter system. So they kind of regress back to the barter system to be like, 1 goat for your 4 chickens. It's like, but I don't need goat, bro. Like, I love you, but you know what? Let's just, so we would massage it that way. But anyway, yeah. Am I broke? Totally get it.
That's hilarious.
Totally get it.
If you're not broke, well, your life is much easier because then if you want, you can pay someone to do it. So we have some brands, their internal staff will do it. We'll just send them a shot list and their staff will just take their iPhone out, shoot scenes or whatever. Or you can pay content creators, product seeding, professional creators, up to you. Or one that I think people overlook is, can you hire someone part-time who has an affinity for making content? You can look at their own like Instagram or TikTok.
And guys, they are everywhere.
Everywhere.
They just happen to be 19 to 20 something years old who live and breathe and like know this stuff inside out. Inside out. They're everywhere. They're just not easy to find. You can't LinkedIn job hunter them.
No.
That's all.
But blows my mind, me and you heard at a conference that there's a lot of these content creators who are amazing at making content, but they don't know how to monetize themselves. And they're happy to take a part-time gig and they just make content for you so you can get amazing outsized returns for the price.
They're happy to take your goat for 4 chickens.
Yeah.
I mean, but seriously, they love it so much they don't know the world of like, oh my God, what does having a job feel like besides, I don't know, my part-time job wherever. But they're everywhere. They're everywhere. And they're really fantastical at it.
And I would say of everything on here so far, this is probably the best, if you have money, the best buy you'll ever have. Is because you can give them a quota. Your job is to make 3 pieces of content every single day. Like they can pump out probably 4 for 4 hours a day, right? Anyways, I'm kind of rabbit trailing. So if you're not broke, you have options. If you are broke, well now, okay, how can you go the free route? What routes do you have that are free? And these are routes that I personally seen work. I'm sure, D, you could probably think of others. First one is, can you shoot it yourself? Some people like, I don't know how to shoot. I'm not creative. It's a good time to learn. So now you can better brief and work with content creators. I don't know how to do it, which is why I always go to you, D. Just like this mic, just tell me what to buy, literally, and tell me what to set up. Because I am not that kind of person.
Yeah.
And with AI now, dude, there's so much you can do with AI, songs, images, the video still have a way to go, but you can do a lot of damage on an ad account just running statics of AI images.
Yeah.
This is one I personally had a lot of success with. So I'll show you an example in a second. Is we had a brand that people love their product. And so what our team would do is they would be mining comments on ads as usual. Anytime they saw a customer say, oh, I bought 1, I bought 2, and I loved it, they would write a comment on that person's comment saying, thank you so much. That means the world. I'm going to send you a DM, as if they're coming from the brand, by the way. They DM the person. They say, hey, thank you so much for saying that. As a small business, it means the world to us. Would you be willing to help us out as well? Because I think, honestly, we're a small business. Would you make a video, a review of your experience and the product? It works extremely well. And now you have customer generated content. Again, just a little extra work. And the last one is just ask friends. So mean, just to kind of point this as an example, like this is a brand we all know, Myabi. These are all made with AI as the main image. And then obviously they use text over that. So it's not that hard. It's free. And there's an example of that brand I told you about. I remember this is the person I personally messaged. Say, hey, thank you so much for saying you love the product. Would you mind making a video? She made a 4-minute long video that her kids are holding and shaking. That ad went on to
That's
make
awesome.
Millions.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And yeah, so it's just very simple, easy ways that you can get more profit out of your business. And if you have to, go the free route.
Yeah. I have so many thoughts here. First and foremost, that tree that you have is essentially the playbook for having anything created in a bootstrapped business, right? So it's almost like I have an idea for an app. Let's call it not just a creative concept. We can abstract it further. I have an idea for an app. Well, do you have the stuff required to go make that app? If so, then what are you doing? If not, then do I have resources? Am I bootstrapped? Yes or no? If yes, I am bootstrapped. I am very limited in my resources. Time to get scrappy. That's all it is. It's just time to get scrappy. And by the way, you don't have to be resource poor to still keep that scrappy frame of mind, right? There are let me give you this example. I'm going to share my screen for a second because when you talked about the AI thing, I think perhaps there might be a percentage of the people watching that would go, yeah, but that AI stuff is just cartoony. I can't, like, what about real people? Like, I have a fashion brand. I can't make like real people. And true, especially if it's addressed, it takes multiple more steps. But this is someone, a buddy on D2C Twitter, Phil, who runs Goth Rider Coffee, Midjourney and Pika, some song from Suno.
That looks really
right.
good.
Let's bring this up a little bit more. Slight movement, a little bit hazy, but you know you can see the face is just pixel mushed. But the point being, staying scrappy, experimenting, because we've said it before on the AI episode. We're working with the least sophisticated version of AI today.
Good point.
So if you get your feet wet now, you can start doing that. So that whole that product that the model is holding and that small little coffee cup, right? Just a little bit of massaging. Human faces can be part of the creative too. So that's the first thing. The next thing is you put the higher content creators in the top bucket. It can also belong in the lower bucket as well.
Really?
Absolutely. It can belong to the lower bucket in this type of way. Remember all those kids that you said they love this type of stuff and would happily do it for a goat and 4 chickens.
Yes.
There are a lot of them that would also, what they need, their currency, because they're earlier on in their career and there are enough YouTube videos going around telling content creators how to monetize being content creators and get a job as a content creator. Their currency is getting enough cred that they can say, I worked with this brand and that brand, enough brands, right? They need to build up their CV. And the street cred version of a CV, they're not actually sending it through a CV. So go at volume, hire a VA, and just have a list of content creators or people that look like they want to be content creators or influencers. And then just start a stream of DMs to go, we would love to send you some product, and use that small business angle, right? We would love to send you product.
I love that angle. Everyone's a sucker to help out a small business.
Everyone thinks that like life gets easier when you're big, and they kind of miss out on how much benefit there is when you're young and small and still fledgling, right? You can approach mentors and be like, I'm new to this game. I don't have money to pay you, but would you give me some advice? You can go to content creators and say stuff like, listen, we're a small business. You can go to customers and say exactly the same angle that you just brought up before. Point being that you can still get human faces, actual humans, providing you content for free. If you're willing to do the DM outreach at scale, and then work through your conversion rates to get to the end result of having creators that don't ghost you. And but that's a typical complaint, right? Because again, those people aren't willing to be scrappy enough. So it'd be like, yeah, but they ghost me all the time and this, that, and the other. I'm like, okay, well, let's go back to the original question. Do you have money to pay them? Oh no, we don't. Okay, well, guess what? Like, you got to pay somewhere. So now you're paying in terms of the logistical kind of back and forth headache. Like, so, and also the final thought on this, the film it yourself, and the people that, and I've heard this multiple times where people approach me and go, hey man, you know how to do this type of stuff. Like, I'm not good at it. Like, can I just get someone else to do it? I'll never be good at it. I'll go back to the first thing. Do you have money to pay? No. Okay, well, learn it yourself, but I'm not creative. Well, my pushback on that is, well, a year ago, you weren't a business person. Now you're a business person. So if you could learn that, which by the way would scare the bejesus out of most creatives to learn, you managed to learn that for yourself. I'm sure it was scary for you back then too. Would it be as scary to open up your iPhone and just shoot some stuff, and maybe if you don't like it, hit the delete button and you can start again? You don't have to pay $5 every time you delete a clip. So, right? Oh, but I don't have time. Okay, well, do you have money? No. So you have no time and no money. I can't help you anymore. See you later.
Why are you in business again?
Like, why are you in business again? Right? Like, exactly. Like, you if you can't find the time and you don't have the money, you're kind of painting yourself into a very, very immovable corner. Yes. Where it's very difficult for anyone to render any kind of help. But the film it yourself, I know so many, I've seen so many brands do the film it yourself, go down that path and do so well, because now they understand once you understand production and what needs to go into it. For example, when you go through when you go through learning about video, one of the first things that they advise you to do is edit your own footage. Why? Instead of throwing it to someone else. Once you have to edit someone else's crap, you immediately know like what works well for takes. This take, I got to do that. That take, I got to do that. Or I need to say it in this way and then cut it there instead of ramble on. Because you can find edit points.
Makes a lot of sense, because frankly, anyone who watches this, you're really good at doing takes and you're really good at biting things down to takes. It makes so much sense now because you were editing a ton of crap before we had a team. I've never edited anything in my life.
I had to edit my own crap. So I had to rewatch myself and be like, this actor sucks. Wait, that actor's me. Cool. I get to now, like, right? So now you really understand nuance of, background needs to look like that, because in the edit now it just looks funky. And
clearly you can tell by our videos, Dee's done this before, whereas Ray is literally never touched.
Sure, but like, I've just done this earlier. That's all it happens to be. But the point being, the film it yourself part is so. And by the way, 10 years ago, we couldn't have given this advice. 15 years ago, absolutely not, because this quality was crap. Remember those like Nokia cameras that just look like 380p, right?
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Like, or to get quality, it was like $10,000, $15,000. Now you can buy one that has like really high quality for like nice. It looks nice types of cameras for like less than $1,000. So for sure, and then get your friends to be actors, or get mom and pop or whatever it might be, and it'll work out.
Okay, so we have a few minutes left. I want to show the last strategy, and then
please,
we'll probably end it there. So then the next one is it takes you actually diving into the numbers, getting in the weeds to find the opportunities. So this strategy is one that I've coined called the Snowball strategy. I might have mentioned it before on another podcast call, but essentially the strategy goes like this, and I'll walk you through tactically how we can do it. Is you look at different pillars in your business and find, if I can just tweak a few percentages here, tweak a few percentages there, it will then roll up and add into really big additions to gross profit. or gross
It
revenue.
was Snowball.
Yeah, that's what I call the snowball.
Yeah.
So if you take 4 pillars in your e-com brand, your product costs, your revenue sources, where you're getting your product sales from what collections and SKUs, and then also customer types. And I'll show you an example in a few moments. You could, for example, find a way to lower costs or increase prices 4%. And if you could change what channels you're getting revenue from, ones that are cheaper, ones that have higher conversion rate, and then you prioritize or deprioritize certain product collections or SKUs that aren't making money, like I mentioned in that first example. And then if you can prioritize or deprioritize certain customer bases, it can add up into very big additions to gross profit. And so, for example, this is, I'll tell this story and I'll give you guys an example tactically, is this is a brand that we did this for where we just changed a few things. Nothing else changed in the business. We deprioritized certain products we were pushing, increased the price of one product, changed the free shipping threshold, and that was it. But a 29% gain and a 63% gain from revenue from shipping had massive advantages to this business and had massive impacts, as an example. So that's an example where we just, every month we send our brands an NPS question. And this is the brand giving that feedback. It's like, holy crap, like I actually feel like I'm growing again. And again, we changed nothing else in the business besides 3 things that just changed a different focus, different spend, increased price, increased shipping threshold, and that was it for this brand. Okay. Does that make sense, Steve? You want to see the tactical, how you can do this?
Yeah, let's do tactical for sure.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reshare my screen so you can see the entire window. Okay. So there's a simple way that you can do this. It just takes you getting in the weeds and asking a few assumption questions. So the first thing you should do is go to Shopify, and there's a report called Profit by Product report. It's my favorite report in Shopify. If you have uploaded your product COGS into Shopify, this is going to be a very easy step for you, because if you do that, then for every product, you can see the gross margins and see your gross profit. If you haven't done that, then you're going to have to export it into a sheet and add those numbers, which have fun with that. Okay, so what you want to do is inside this report, you want to have these dimensions. So you want to have product price, gross margins, gross profit, net sales, orders, returns, return fees, and cost. And then product type, product title, things like that. So yes, that's pretty much it. The reason why is because then we're going to take this. So we did the last 12, we're going to do the last 12 months, 365 days, do an export of that, and then we're going to come to this sheet. Okay. So I did this ahead of time. Here is, and I've anonymized the products a bit so we can't tell to protect our brand, here is the full export of all their products over the last year. Now, here's the beauty of this, is going back to the first principle, the first example we said in this episode, let's just narrow in our focus. Think of the 80-20, 20% of the products that give us 80% of the revenue. We're just going to pick the top 5 SKUs. That's it. So I took the top 5 SKUs, and I'm just going to add up what's the gross profit of those top 5 SKUs and what's the remaining revenue of everything else. Now, this brand is a fashion brand. They have a lot of SKUs per product. So you could take just one product that has 20 SKUs and bundle it that way to make it easy. I just did by SKU, which is not including the entire product. And I asked myself these questions. So when I do this, I'm asking myself, okay, what opportunities do I see? For example, here, look at the gross profit margin. You can see some SKUs have better margin than others. I'm like, okay, why? Why do I have so little? Why are some of these so little? And I'm asking myself, okay, why is it that some products have less gross profit than others? Why is that? Why am I giving so much discounts away to this one product that's making me less money? Why do some products have higher returns than others? That can also help you make decisions and deprioritize. So what we did for this brand is I was looking at it because we know this brand. I was like, okay, why is it that we're selling some of these products for $349 and $359, but we're selling these for $259 and $289, and they're always selling out? So for us, it made a lot of sense that, okay, we could, I'm just going to scroll to the right a little bit. What if we increase the prices here marginally to get these margins to 78% to match the top selling SKU? Do I think it's reasonable that if I increase the price from $259 to $289, that people would still buy it? Yeah, because we're selling products, at $350. I think that's very reasonable.
Yes.
So then what I did is I just duplicated the top 5 products, changed that from $249 to $289. So again, increase the prices by $30 each. Then I compared the previous, meaning here was the old top 5 products. Here's the new top 5. So what that means is if I could rewind and do the last year over again, just by increasing the prices on 5 SKUs only, we would have made an additional $196,000, changing nothing else because those products are always selling out anyways.
Yeah.
So that's a snowball strategy where you can make very small changes and you can make huge impacts, whether that's cost, whether that's shipping, whether that's product price. And I think in general, everyone waits too long to change the price of their products in general. That's having a massive impact on that brand at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. And being able to think in this fashion, right? To be able to look at the levers with such crystal clarity is a massive skill set for a brand to be able to plug into their decision making around how to create for the future. You know what I mean? Because if not for, and which is why we do what we do, right? Like I agree with Luke. Luke says this all the time in all of her meetings. We do such a horrible job of communicating what we actually do because the perception is, oh, they slam ads, they media buy, they come up creative. But really to come in and have a growth partner, I think, Ray, you just showed it right there. That's the extent of growth partner to go. We're looking at product, we're looking at margin, and we're able to take that and tie it to your promotion strategy, your sales strategy, tie that to then your advertising strategy. And soon we're going to be able to drop something where we can tie that to your content and organic strategy too. Can't wait for Ash to be able to showcase that one.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
Right? And that right there is how we then are able to move that needle forward consistently. Because once that snowball comes into play, much in the same way that previous brand with their first 6-figure profit month, then we can snowball that into the next thing and the next thing, and we can start to accumulate and flow with it too. That was so awesome.
It's so funny because that's just 5 SKUs.
Yes.
And for example, in that same instance, that brand's doing enough volume, they could go to the manufacturer and say, hey, we're having tough times. I need 5% cheaper cost of goods sold.
Yeah.
And a manufacturer is going to be like, okay, cool, we'll work with you. And then you also increase prices. Now you have a 15% increase, potentially increase. Like little changes when you're doing enough volume, dude, like it can make the difference between losing money and making money, frankly.
For sure. Absolutely. And it's the subtle moves. It's those knowing where to look to make the little changes. That's the skill set right there, above and beyond making these big kind of heroic, dramatic moves, but in the wrong places.
And I think what might be helpful in the last few minutes is for you to explain type 1 and type 2 decisions, because that's where brands get hung up on, is the mental load of, like what happens if I change it and people don't like it. But for most of the stuff I showed, there's going to be there's nothing that you can't walk back from.
Right. I think, and I think you already were able to put it in a nutshell right there. This is a Jeff Bezos concept, by the way. It's not like D made this up in his own head on his ayahuasca trip. Can you Command Z it or not? How easy is the Command Z undo? Right? That's all it is. Or Control Z if you're a fucking crazy Windows user. Type 1 decisions. very difficult to unwind, very difficult to hit the rewind button and undo, right? Jeff Bezos calls it one-way doors and two-way doors. Certain doors you walk through, you can't walk back the other way. It just shuts behind you. And certain other doors, you can just kind of undo and go, let's go back to the previous version, please. Oh, don't like this version. Command Z, upload the previous version, you're good. That's pretty much it. The haziness is when people put too much stock into a type 2 decision and think that it's a type 1 decision because, oh my God, the entire internet's going to see this. The entire internet's not going to see this. How do you know? You have to spend so much money on ads for people to even see your product in the first place. Your mistakes aren't the free part that the whole internet sees, and your best part you have to pay for. It doesn't work that way. The internet doesn't discriminate. So point being, there are a lot more areas than most entrepreneurs think. That's what Jeff Bezos contends, where people think that it is a type 1 when really it's a type 2. So kind of calm your nerves a little bit. Or to go back to episode number 1, let your hair down a little bit.
There you go.
Sweet. All right. Well, we got our 3 methods over there, right? Being able to not only do account consolidation, but then also really product concentration and consolidation, resource consolidation. We talked through how to get scrappy to be able to then get more from less, from a creative standpoint, from an asset standpoint. And the final one in there, just being able to snowball and find those levers, 3 ways to squeeze more money out of your store. Love it, man. Thanks for that, Ray. That was awesome.
Yeah. So if you're a brand and you're feeling a squeeze right now, everything we showed is a type 2 decision. You can Command Z it, but what if it actually helps?
Yeah, absolutely. And let's try. I'm going to try something new this time. Let's end with a question. Over to you. What are some other ways that you have seen or are trying to squeeze more out of your brand? I'd really love to hear from you in the comment section. And let's see what comes out of that. That might inspire us to put more stuff into the next episode. And of course, we'll definitely reply to whatever you put in the comment section. We'll see you there for sure. Ray, awesome session. Thank you so much. Everyone, see you next time.